Behind me is the Huntington Beach Pier, arguably the most iconic landmark in the city. But right over there in front of me is another iconic landmark tied to a very iconic family. Today, they're going to give us a tour of their hidden history here in Huntington Beach.
I'm Chris Epting. I'm an author and storyteller, and I love the history of Huntington Beach, especially the hidden history. For the past 2 seasons, we've helped uncover many little-known stories that help illuminate the past. Now, join us as we dig deeper to discover even more secrets. Welcome to Hidden Huntington Beach, Season 3. The Clapp family is a true part of Huntington Beach history. It started with family patriarch Dwight Clapp, who started some of the very first beach concessions back in the 1930s. Today, 3 more generations, Jack, Dave, and Dustin, all keep the family business thriving. And a lot of the success has to do with Huntington Beach's original comfort food, which we'll learn about in just a minute. Dustin Clapp is the youngest of the family, and he loves to tell the family story.
So Dustin, you've got your own personal history here, right? You started working here as a kid?
Yes, sir. Child labor.
What was it like? I mean, you're surrounded by this Huntington Beach legacy, right? Your grandfather, your father. What do you remember about the early days?
Well, I don't remember not working here. So it was my entire youth. I took baths in the sink back there when I was 3 years old. It's all I know. It's everything.
Now, there's even a story for all the hidden history here inside. It starts outside on top of the building. Tell me the story about the sign on top of Jack's.
Yeah, it's actually custom lettering. It was done by an art teacher here in Huntington Beach in the 50s. It was actually my Aunt Lori's art teacher in Huntington, and he did these custom lettering for us, so we've kept it ever since.
And that's the only, I mean, that's like its own font.
Correct, yeah.
It doesn't exist anywhere else.
No, yeah, they drew it. Yeah, it's awesome.
That is incredible. That really is something.
It looks like soft-served ice cream.
Now, I call them strips and cheese like a lot of people, but you've corrected me. It's
right.
Cheese strips, right?
Cheese strips, yes, sir.
Let's talk about the mythology, the legend, the lore. Where do they come from? You know, what makes them so popular? What do you remember about them growing up?
I don't remember not knowing about cheese strips, right? So they were just my life.
So you first have them when you start working here as a kid,
yeah.
And you like them?
I love them. I love them. And it's like it's an interesting taste where it's like you can only get it in the cheese strips. Yeah, it's amazing.
What do you think it is about cheese strips that so connects with surfers? Because you talk to surfers all over, and it really becomes kind of the sustenance. Surf in the morning, come here, cheese strips. Back in the day, cheese strips become sort of a part of every day when you're surfing. Why do you think that is? What is it about them that complements the experience?
Well, it's a heavy meal, frankly. It's greasy. I think it's great for after working out. I think that's why surfers like it. But it's also just special. I mean, a lot of these surfers here grew up, their parents grew up with it, their grandparents grew up with it. And so it's just like in the lifeblood of Huntington Beach, kind of. And it's kind of surprising that it hasn't gone past Huntington Beach.
What do you think about? Why do you think that is?
First of all, it's a secret recipe. I think 3 people know it.
Do you know it?
Yeah.
You do?
And Jack is the only other person that makes it at Dwight's. I make it here. I make it every day. Or not every day, but every order that's made, I made it.
Has anybody ever tried to sort of coerce the recipe?
Oh, totally.
Out of you?
People, yeah. No, I've been offered $5 grand. But there's also
if we gave you 10 right now, would you?
Definitely not. There's also a fake recipe online. And it says Dwight's cheese strip.
I saw that.
And it's close, but it's not right.
And you were saying that for you, it's like an enchilada sauce.
Yeah, it really is. And you need all 3 elements really to go together. It's such a unique flavor. And why would you have unmelted cheese on chips in the first place? It's so unique, everything about it. And it really is, each individual ingredient just comes together and just makes it.
Do you find there are people that come here just for that? Like it's like a destination only to have that?
Like we get people every day, they're like, I'm from Utah, I came out, I had cheese strips when I was 4, I need them again. It happens all the time.
Now, what you're gonna do, Dustin, is you're gonna take us inside. You're not gonna give us the recipe, but you're gonna sort of walk us through the process, because the process, the hidden history behind how cheese strips are made is fascinating in and of itself. It really is. You're gonna kind of show us how it happens, right? Yeah. And we're not gonna reveal anything about the exact recipe, sauce. But you are gonna show us an artifact that is connected to the sauce that is very important. So why don't we head inside and you'll show us that, okay?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Dustin, we're back here where the cheese strips magic happens.
The magic place.
We're going to get to that in a minute, but first you got some really incredible photos here.
Yeah.
This one I want to start with. This is, so your grandfather, Jack, is born in 1930. This is about 1932. We can see as he was describing to us on 4th of July, the Navy would occasionally have a ship out here where he said that you could shuttle out there and take a tour of the ship, courtesy of U.S. Navy. But what's amazing, the hidden history in this picture, is we actually see your grandpa at 2 years old, right there, entering the concession.
The legend himself.
Right there at 2 years old, which is really precious. And
the beach used to be thinner back then.
yeah,
as well.
obviously. Yeah, it's always amazes me how the shoreline changes over the years. All right, next up, we see Jack again, 5 years old. It looks like he's standing against a surfboard or some kind of board.
Yeah, or like a huge piling. I can't tell.
Hard to tell. Maybe
It looks
he'll
like a
tell us
wood
it after.
surfboard.
And then we see where we're sitting right now, which is Jack's, under construction
Yes, sir.
in 1958.
And this was a frame built on top of another building.
Right, which in that building was the grocery store
Yes, sir.
of the trailer park that was here.
Yes,
So there's
sir.
hidden history within hidden history. Then we see your dad and his brother
Yes.
when they're kind of, looks like they're surfacing the boardwalk out there,
Yeah.
1958.
I think that was actually just the foundation. But
Oh, for the building.
yeah.
Wow.
And you can still see the trailers that were still there.
Yeah, that were still left over. Incredible. And then here's your dad again, 1958. Where was this? This was
And
right
this
here
is
as well.
This is without this outer structure on it.
So
Yes, sir.
that's a clean shot of the original grocery store.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Then of course here we see your grandpa Jack and his wife, 1970, right where we're sitting today.
Always working.
Always working.
With a broom in
Yes,
his
your
hand.
legacy, a very hardworking family. All right, next we've got here is Jack. This is sort of like Jack's This Is Your Life. We're watching him get older here. This is a shot from Dwight's Drive-In, which was at Beach and PCH, and we can actually see Jack right here. And then your great-grandfather, point him out, he and his wife right there.
This is Dwight. This is my great grandma Faye.
Amazing.
His wife.
At the famous Dwight's Drive-In.
I love how younger the employees got over the years.
Yeah, right, right.
These are like 40-year-olds.
Amazing how everyone's dressed in that sort of classic
The car hop
1950s
look.
car hop
I love
look,
it.
Happy Days. This is, I love this. Jack mentioned that he was a woodworker, and here we see he made this sign back when it opened in '58. This is the sign he made, but still hangs today
Yes, sir.
in Jack's. He made this by hand, made to last, beautiful craftsmanship. And I love the fact that this is one of the many artifacts you've got
Yeah.
hanging
Original
out.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is special. I love
Last but not least, this picture, your great-grandfather Dwight in front of a 1958 VW Bug, right?
Yes,
Which
sir.
your grandfather Jack still drives to this day.
Yes,
He's
sir.
got this, right? I went out earlier, you didn't tell me that Jack's current car, his license plate, is cheese strips.
It's gotta be. It's so amazing. It's the best part. I
All
love
right,
it.
Speaking of cheese strips, right behind us is a
Yes, sir.
machine that your dad designed and built. Talk about what your dad, what his thinking was, because no other machine like this exists, right? This is the only one in the world. It's
Yep.
right here at Jack's. What was he thinking? How did he develop it? And how does it work?
Well, I think he got tired of cutting them by hand. Tortillas are pretty hard.
Because you're talking thousands of tortillas, right?
Yeah, yes, a lot. Definitely a ton. Like 720 dozen every week. I mean, just a crazy amount. And this is a pneumatic press, so it cuts the tortillas down into a trash can.
How often do you do it?
Once or twice a week in the summer, and then about once every 2 weeks in the off season.
And all the strips you cut here are for both Dwight's and Jack's?
Yeah, we have the only strip cutting machine.
Incredible. Now,
Yeah.
as far as the cheese goes, that's a pretty basic setup, right? Big block of what kind of cheese?
40-pound block, mild cheddar we get, and we cut it up. Thinly grated, that matters a lot. The surface area on the cheese matters for how much cheese you taste in the cheese strip. The proportion is very important, and so it's just a very thin, mild cheddar.
And then where is the sauce mixed exactly? How do you make it, and how often do you make it?
Once a week, we go through at least 9-10 gallons a week. We make it in a trash can that we've had forever.
Is that, though, I was going to say, that one's been around. That's a piece of history itself. The blue,
Definitely.
the famous blue
Definitely.
strips and cheese sauce trash can.
Definitely. It's been
And that's
around
where it
forever.
happens, in there.
Yeah, every time.
And you make it yourself.
Exactly. There's only 3 people that know it. My father, my grandfather, and myself.
Does anybody watch you make it when you do it, or is it sort of under wraps?
No, they try to. No. Yeah, I don't. I'm so quick at doing the measurements, they can't really see it when I'm back here doing it.
Do you vary the measurements week to week, or is
Definitely not. And the manufacturer of the ingredients is important. So like if you get a different brand of tomato puree, it tastes different. So it's really important for us to get the same stuff all the time.
Which is what you do?
Yes, sir.
So how can, when you take the blue trash can, how can you tell like what level to pour everything up to?
Well, we scratched a line in it. And it's up to 9 gallons, and so we just make it 9 gallons at a time. And then as long as it goes up to the line.
That's the exact spot you know that you've got to hit.
Yep.
Amazing. You've been making the sauce in there for about 20 years or so. And before that, there were only a couple of other ones, right? There have been, well, maybe 3 of these things since the beginning.
It's like an iron skillet. It adds to the taste the longer. But yeah, we don't replace those very often.
Jack's is going to be, the family business is going to be 90 years old.
Yes, sir.
Next year. Cheese strips are about 70 years old, which is really approaching something very historic.
Yeah.
And you know, the fact that you've got that I like the fact that you don't trade out the barrels that often. It sort of keeps the history here sort of nice and safe.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that. All the cheese strips that have been made, all the sauce has literally been made by only 3 people this entire time.
There are other places in Huntington Beach that make their version of cheese strips.
A lot of places that try.
Right,
Yeah.
but it really comes down to the original, right?
Yeah, it's completely different.
But it's got to make you happy that you've inspired, like,
It is.
it's like there's a hamburger, somebody made a hamburger, right?
Right.
It's gone on to great things, but if somebody hadn't thought of that original one, we wouldn't have these varieties. So I guess in some measure, it's got to feel good that you've inspired this trend.
Yeah, I used to not like it when we would see other cheese strips out there, but like you said, it's a benefit to us, and it just shows on how popular they are that other people want to make them, and it's extra advertising for us now. Every place that sells them, it's great. It's awesome.
Justin, I really appreciate you bringing us back here. This is, this is true hidden history. It's something that I know people have always been really curious about.
Yeah.
You've told us as much as you can, which we really appreciate.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you guys coming down here.
The Clapp family has brought so much to the city of Huntington Beach, not just cheese strips, but great memories, great stories, great history. We're very thankful that they made us feel so welcome today. If you like stories like this, follow our Facebook group, which is simply Hidden Huntington Beach. And as always, check out these episodes. We're very thankful that you give us your time and look forward to seeing you next episode.